All right, let's get into this. We're
back, baby. Hey, we're back.
We're back. We're in the dog days of the offseason, the absolute dog days. We're in flu season, in mock draft season, and players running around in shorts and t-shirt season. Um, you know, we're kind of in the thick of it right now. So I'm glad that you have some excitement, man, because
I got the juice. Hey, I got the juice for the boys.
You got the juice.
I have a question for you. When it comes to NFL Combine, what is your just general thoughts on it? Do you get fun? Does it fire you up at all? Is it just guys running around in underwear? Where do you land on it?
You know what? I kind of don't care about it anymore. And I feel like I'm the average NFL fan, right? And I was thinking about this, and let's just get into it. I've got a couple kids. I work a lot. Like, I don't have time to be sitting there watching a bunch of dudes, stretching and lifting weights and stuff. Like, I don't have time to do that myself. How am I going to watch somebody else lift weights? And I know that's not the answer you might want to hear from somebody who covers the game. And but I just don't have time, and I don't know how the average NFL fan has time outside of your super hardcore junkies.
No, it's I think that perspective is kind of the prevailing thought around, at least around the combine, because it is absolutely turned into, and I know years ago, the combine was important because that was the one place where you could get all these scouts together to test you. And it was important to test and important to run and important to lift. But now with these pro days, these scouts are everywhere. So you just do your pro days at home, and it's like, all right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, their home indoor field is going to shrink down to 38.5 yards instead of 40. So you get that one less stride there on that 40-yard dash and all that stuff. But I think that's kind of the prevailing thought. I get excited because it's kind of the turn of the page. It's that official, all right, I'm used to seeing these. I obviously follow college football very closely, cover Ohio State, cover some other teams. And it's fun to turn the page and say, okay, this is the next group of NFL guys. They're all going to have a logo on their helmet here coming up very soon. And that part to me is cool. I love hearing them talk and speak, but then you can miss me with all the numbers and stuff. I think it's cool, but to me, that's just very, very table stakes. It doesn't fire me up at all.
There was a time when I was super excited about the draft the combine. And this is when I was actually young and really early on in my career. So I believe it was about 2010, 2011. I was working for Bleacher Report, and I was doing a lot of NFL draft writing, and I got to actually go down to Indianapolis. And one of my favorite memories of my sports writing career is we were at I was with some guys from Bleacher Report, and we were at was it St. Elmo's? There's a steakhouse in Indianapolis, right? And we're sitting there having a couple drinks and having a couple steaks, and then all of a sudden, a big bus pulls up with a Cowboys logo on the outside of it, and out walks Jerry Jones,
Uncle Jerry,
I think Urban Meyer at the time, and Jay Glazer, the reporter.
Yeah.
And these guys all kind of stumble off the bus and cozy up to the bar and get some steaks. And it made me realize, what you hear a lot from people who cover the NFL, is that's really the one time during the year where everybody in the NFL gets together in the same area. So if you're a reporter, if you're looking for scoops, there's no place better to be.
No, and it's cool because actual deals and stuff happen at St. Elmo's. They happen at the bars. It happens. You get these guys together, you get a little liquid confidence in them, or I guess true serum from that perspective. And all of a sudden they start throwing out draft picks for these players and this and that. And then bang, wake up on Monday morning and there's a deal in place for somebody. But it's pretty cool. Speaking of deals, I got a question for you. Gut reaction. We're not supposed to talk about this. This isn't Buffalo Bills or Chicago Bears roundtable. What'd you think of that trade? That's kind of like the DJ Moore trade's the first big one of the offseason. The Bills were rumored to go after Romeo Doubs. They go after DJ Moore instead. Did you have a reaction to it, or am I catching you totally off guard?
No, I think the reaction, from what I've heard and kind of digested since that has happened, is that this is setting up the Bears for a bigger move. They cleared a lot of cap space. And
as we're recording this, they just cut Trayman Edmonds, or
right, I had heard that the betting odds suggest that they are now the favorite to land what's his name out of Vegas.
Max, baby.
Yeah,
Max
Crosby. And frankly, that really bothers me.
Yeah,
because they were already trouble last year as homie Ben Johnson's getting his feet wet, and Caleb Williams just getting his feet wet. So they start to become real with some real players. That's a team that the Packers are going to have to contend with for not just next season, but probably the next few seasons.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, and that opens the door, like you said. You put Max Crosby in that on that defensive line. Yeah, you certainly are going to lose a little bit with Trayman Edmonds, but like they're probably going to eye somebody in the draft to try to go get one of those guys, a young pup, to play that linebacker position. We'll see how it shakes, but that is on par with the Micah Parsons deal that the Packers pulled off last year. That would be very, 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 very similar to what Green Bay did, and that, like you said, that should certainly be at least a little bit concerning for Packers fans.
It's absolutely concerning. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? To bring this conversation full circle, that deal and perhaps the subsequent Crosby deal probably happened in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Honestly, you're dead right. You're dead right.
All right, let's get to some of the actual planned topics for the evening. And I think there's it's been a strange offseason from a Packers perspective. And we've kind of ridden this roller coaster, or rode there. I don't know proper English, but
road.
Yeah. From the disappointment of the way that the season ended, a 5-game losing streak, losing to the Bears, to, at least for me, kind of the healing process of being like, I want Matt LaFleur fired. Okay, now I can understand why they're bringing him back. The last time we talked before my family went down with, we went on the injured reserve for a week or two with the flu here. The last time we talked, we both kind of felt that something was kind of fishy with the way that Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator, left. Mm-hmm. It was not long after that news came out that the NFLPA report cards came out. So it's basically the report cards are a anonymous survey of the players and the facilities, and the Packers did not look good in multiple different places. They got a C for their training room, a C for their training staff. Offensive coordinator, which is Matt LaFleur by extension, a C. Defensive coordinator, A-, but that guy's gone. Jeff Hafley is now the head coach of the Dolphins. Head coach got a B-, and that's a full letter grade lower than what it was the year before. So I know you put something on the Packers Roundtable board about it. What are your thoughts on just seeing these? Does it matter? Is it a thing? What's your initial take there?
Man, those report cards are tough because you have to put some weight in them, but also too, like, man, I don't know how it all comes to be. Like, I want more details on, all right, here's when they take these report cards. Because if it's right after the season ends and you get some bitter guys in there or whatever, does everybody have to turn them in? Like, what is the process? Because it does feel like unless you have a winning record, that's kind of my thought on it all. Like, winning cures everything. Like, if you have a winning record and you do well in the playoffs, like, all right, your grades are going to be a little bit higher. If you sucked and you had a disappointing end of the season, and as the Packers did, people are going to kind of air out their grievances. So, I tend to take it like, I don't know. I don't know, because it's tough. It's tough. And, from a facility standpoint, we obviously have no knowledge of it. Those guys are in there each and every day. And I don't know. I guess I kind of fall in the middle of like, yeah, the bad grades are bad, but are they because you got some scoring guys in there, or is it actually the truth that, their training room sucks and the food sucks and all that stuff? Like, I guess I just don't know. I don't know.
Right. Well, you wonder how different would those grades look if they didn't end the season on a 5-game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what happens if you lose in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl? And it's like, hey, the food tastes a little bit better after a win, and that training room table is a little bit softer when you're 12-1 instead of 7-6. It's like, interesting.
I think what is probably more telling for me, or maybe something I that kind of perks my ears up, is that the grade for LaFleur went down a full letter grade, and we talked all season about times where he kind of looked overwhelmed, he looked frustrated on the sideline. The specific rank or the specific grade had to do with respect and how the players felt that they were respected by the head coach. And um, you know, am I wrong to question how I felt once I kind of came to a healing point that LaFleur is the guy? Or is this just off-season noise, right? And does it matter? Because, like you said, they start the season off hot next year and look like a Super Bowl contender. We're not going to remember this conversation that we're having.
No, it's I don't know. It's really a tough line to I guess thing to really make anything of, because I do believe that there's some validity to it too, and teams have done that, right? I've seen it a couple times in Cleveland where like they got like 3 straight years or 2 straight years of like F minus or F on their weight room, and they renovated their whole weight room. Awesome. And like teams will make those changes. Hey, the food's bad. You upgrade that stuff, and that part's good. I find the coaching parts to be a little bit a little bit different, because there's relationships involved, there's playing time involved, there's personalities, and there's egos, and all that stuff kind of gets wound into one thing. I don't know. The grades are an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Also, the coach's job is not to be the friend of the players, right?
Coach how to win ball games,
I mean, how friendly was Bill Belichick towards the guys on his
what
team?
grade would he have got? It's like I don't know.
The Patriots never had they were never coming out with these like sick jerseys, and they just won and played football during that stretch. So here's what I wonder, and I'm gonna kind of go into topic 2 here. Is there a problem in Green Bay? And this is the reason why I say this, because I'm gonna stick on this grade for a second. So this is a guy named Aaron Nagler who covers the Packers. He kind of got a scoop on what these grades, kind of like the in-depth reason behind them. And what he wrote here is players report a lack of space and outdated recovery equipment, along with a lack of communication and trust in the training room. That to me, this seems more cultural than anything, right? And the reason I bring this up is because as I was reading this as a Packers fan, right, I don't know, I don't remember how old I was, but I was under 10 years old, and I went to Lambeau Field, and I watched Brett Favre lead a comeback in the fourth quarter. The whole place goes crazy, and you think, oh my gosh, the Green Bay Packers can do nothing wrong. This is title town, right? This is Vince Lombardi, and something like this kind of opens your eyes a little bit. Like maybe they're not this perfect, crown jewel of the NFL, crown jewel of sports that I've always thought they were. Like nothing's greater than the Green Bay Packers, but it seems like they might have some warts that need to be addressed.
Isn't that just like just so blissful? You think back to that and you're like, this is so good. You're in there, and then you open the curtain back and within the day and age that we live in, where everybody's got, a phone and they can kind of report everything, and there's a voice everywhere, and everything gets out, like, at least at some level, everything gets out. And the concerning part in what you're talking about there is like the lack of trust. That's something that, if you don't trust your friend to show up on time to pick you up before you guys go out, that's one thing. If you don't trust your trainer to do the right things while you're on the training table, that's a totally different, like we're in a different stratosphere of issues, because these guys' bodies are their livelihood. They have to be performing at top-notch, high level, and they're Ferraris too. So it needs to be taken care of at the maximum level. And if you mess up a massage, or you mess up a training, or even if you're doing like a pregame, muscle warm up, and you mess it up, you're putting, in theory, you're taking money out of these guys' pockets, right? And that's a scary place to live in. And not having trust in your training staff that's terrifying. That's not at all a place you want to be at all by any stretch of the imagination.
It's even scarier when you think about the fact that Micah Parsons is currently working his way back from injury. Tucker Kraft is currently working his way back from an injury. Devontae Wyatt. Jordan Love has had injuries, here or there, especially 2 seasons ago. Josh Jacobs was banged up at the end of last season.
Yep.
These are cornerstone pieces of this franchise, and I would imagine, if this is the prevailing thought in the locker room, I'm guessing they might have those thoughts too, right?
There's no question, and all that stuff has clues. You start seeing the big guys in there, and then you go the next level, Andrew. It's like, all right, I know that a lot of these reports are anonymous, but is that Micah Parsons saying that, or is that Jordan Love? Like, who's saying that? Because a lot of the big dogs were in the training room a lot last year, so they could have a really strong opinion there.
Yeah. So there's a gentleman. Do you know who Bob Harlan is?
No.
Okay. Bob Harlan was he was the president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers for many, many years before Mark Murphy. He brought in Ron Wolf, who was a legendary GM. He was kind of the stabilizing force between getting Brett Favre and then the Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and he's a legend in Packers world, and he died today, and so he was on my mind as we're talking about this, and the thing about Harlan is he seemed to represent that feeling that I was explaining earlier, that feeling of excellence, right? Of the Packers are kind of, at least how they have portrayed themselves over the years, is kind of a step above like your average NFL franchise, right? Like this, it's a small town, but everybody pitches in, and we're title town. We do things the right way. The ghost of Vince Lombardi's around every corner, reminding you that the only thing that matters is winning championships. And I bring up Bob Harlan not just to mention him and put a minute of respect on him and what he did for the Packers, but I wonder if over the years we've seen kind of a lessening of the standard in Green Bay to under these guys like Harlan and Ron Wolf. Championships were the only expectation that mattered. Title time was the only thing that mattered. And we've talked about this over past podcasts that you have to wonder, are they just okay with being okay, making the playoffs, getting a chance to make a run? And I wonder if that is the mindset, does that trickle into things like the training staff? Does that trickle into the way that the food is presented, And to me, that's the scary thing, is if the everything comes from the top down, right? But you gotta, at the end of the day, it's all about mindset and culture. And I personally believe culture still matters in sports. I don't know if you feel the same way, but to me, I think it still matters.
It absolutely does. And then I think a perfect example of it, that was just this past year, where, if you think Title Town was in Green Bay, Wisconsin for, all those years up until 2000, it's now in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And you kind of saw that this year. Like, the Patriots did just what winning football teams do, with a new coach, new quarterback from their dynasty, and they just do what winning teams do, and that's because that's a culture thing. That is a organization thing, and I think you make a really good point, Andrew, of everything you said. And I don't know, like, everyone comes into the season wanting to win the Super Bowl and trying everything they can to win the Super Bowl, and it's tough because I think the whole NFL, like, rising tide lifts all boats. The whole NFL has gotten much, 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 much better. And it's hard to win, but it's been, 2011, 15 years, the title drought can almost drive a car. And it's like, that's a long time for Green Bay Packers fans to be winless, or to be super championship-less. And that's not what you come to expect, right? You grew up in an era where that was the expectation, and it's not now. And it's just a different way.
I think it's still the expectation. Do they have the right people in place to be able to get to that point? And I guess that's why we're here talking about it, because we don't know, right? And that's our job, is to speculate.
Yep.
They've made their decisions, and now they're going to have to either go win or lose by those decisions.
No question.
And that's, I guess, life in the NFL, and you don't get a long leash anymore.
No.
So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the rest of this offseason plays out. I do want to really quickly touch on the new special teams coordinator. So, again, last time we talked, Rich Bisaccia had basically randomly decided he no longer wanted to be part of the team. He's now the special teams coordinator of the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson, right? Yeah. This football, really? I'll tell you something. Football coaches are lunatics because he could probably retire. He's probably got enough money saved up. House here, house there, boat here, boat there, this, that. I'd be on 3 golf courses, but these guys are like, no, I want to coach special teams at Clemson, South Carolina. And you're like, what the hell?
I mean, not only that, but college ball, he's going to be having to hit the recruiting trail,
recruiting and doing all that BS of transfer portal, all that shit.
Oh, yeah. What a mess. You know what? Good for him, I guess.
Well, I guess, but I mean, if it were me, I'd have 3 different country club memberships. I would play them courses in rotation.
I'd be fishing every day, man.
Well, there you go. You'd have a big ass fishing boat, bass boat, sitting real nice and low. You fill that tank up every day.
I wouldn't be sitting there thinking about how to do a squib kick, and but, you're all right. They are just built differently.
Crazy. Dudes are lunatics.
Yeah. So let's talk about the new guy a little bit. Did you do any research on this guy when this happened, or?
Wow, you just threw me right on the
spot. I just want to know, like, do you do you just talk the talk, or do you actually walk?
The answer on this one's no. I don't.
Okay. I don't blame you for not researching a guy who was an assistant special teams coordinator. So his name is Cam, and I've heard his last name. So it looks like Accord, Achord, but I've heard that you say it like Achu, like Achord, or Achord. I don't know, but he's the new special teams coordinator in Green Bay. Here's what you need to know about him, Anthony. He won Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl a couple years ago with the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick's last Super Bowl run. He learned under Belichick and Joe Judge. He was the special teams coordinator in New England for a couple of years. And in fact, I think it was 2020, he coached the number 1 ranked special teams unit in the NFL. So this is a guy who's got a little bit of a track record. Obviously, the Belichick era in New England kind of fizzled out a little bit, and he was a casualty of that. So he ended up last year being the assistant special teams coordinator for the New York Giants. And now he's back as a full-fledged special teams coordinator. He's 39 years old. So he's a younger coach. I think that was something we talked about, and what the Packers should look for. This is not a guy who's, 50, 60 and should be thinking about playing golf and fishing. Do you have any thoughts on just the resume that I'm presenting? Does that sound intriguing to you?
Yeah, I think that it comes down to a couple things. You get guys who are in there, and you talk about just special teams coaches in general. Like the good ones are really like the juice guys, and they have to be genuine. I don't know if it was this show or a different show I was on.
Yeah, we talked about it.
We were talking about like, hey, like that's how they have to present. They have to come with a lot of energy, and they have to be that every single day. And like that's really important. And you get a guy like that who's seen successful special teams groups, and the Patriots are a great example of that because they approach special teams as you should, as a third of the football game, and that's really, really important when you're trying to win ball games. We've seen it. Ask the Rams how important special teams are because they basically lost a chance at the Super Bowl because they couldn't defend a kickoff and they couldn't field a punt. And it's like that stuff. That stuff's really important. Now, what I will also say that this underscores is that special teams, and I think this is a similar conversation we were having, is so much players and not plays. Like it's so much, you have to have guys out there who are just going to be dogs on special teams because you have to have a crazy mindset to run as fast as you can down the field to cover a punt and to do the same thing for kickoff and do the same for return. And, if you're a big guy, if you're an offensive lineman up front, you go on a 10-play, 77-yard drive where you run the ball 6 times and then you score a touchdown, and then you have to sit in your stance and take a bull rush from a group trying to block the field goal, right? It's guys that need to be able to motivate and execute when they're tired and when it's hard. And, you get a guy like that who's done that under Bill Belichick. I like that. You get a guy like that who's done it at a high level. I like that. and then also to like prove it, right? He's got an opportunity to prove himself, and that's going to be what he's trying to do.
I think what I like is he's got the opportunity to prove that the 1 year where he did have a top ranked special teams in New England, it had more to. He can prove that it had more to do with him than it had to do with Belichick and kind of the general ethos of the Patriots and how much they did care about special teams. So we'll have to see, but at the very least, that position is filled, and now we can kind of move on. So for the Packers, that means moving on into free agency and eventually to the NFL draft. Speaking of free agents, I want to talk a little bit about Malik Willis. So you got to see Malik Willis here this past season kind of step in a couple times.
Yeah.
And I know you really want him for your Browns. Everything that I've seen is that the Browns probably aren't going to end up going after Malik Willis.
Get ready to learn Miami, Malik, because he's a Miami Dolphin. Have fun down there. I'm sure he will. The Malik conversation is very fascinating, Andrew, because everyone, me and everybody else included, has identified him as the number one free agent target, or at least the number one free agent quarterback, right? The number one guy who teams go out there and get that. He threw 35 passes last year, and Kurt Warner put out a tweet. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't pin it down. But he put out a tweet basically that took away all of the screen passes, the quick throws, and the scramble throws. And I think it was like, I heard it on the radio today. There was like 12 or 13 throws that you could evaluate where he just straight dropped back and threw it down the field. And you look at that and you're like, holy cow, this guy did just enough and has very little starts, very little action to be the number one prospect in terms of free agency. And he's going to get paid because of it. Like, he is signing a big contract. He's going to have a big bank account because he timed it perfectly. And he found the one free agency year where he's like there's like no marquee names, and he's the big fish to go get.
Yeah.
God bless him, man. That's when timing just works out for you.
You know what I like about Willis? He's just got that blend of athleticism, and he came in to Green Bay. The Packers traded a 7th round pick to the Titans to get him a couple years ago, and he was the definition, I would say, of a one-read quarterback, right? You make your first read, nothing's there, use your athleticism to get out of the pocket and maybe pick up a couple yards. And what the quarterback I saw at the end of this season, specifically against the Bears in that one game when Love went down, and then again he started against the Ravens, the quarterback I saw was not a one-read quarterback. I saw a guy who was comfortable with the system and has the athletic skill set and the arm to make the throws necessary to be an NFL starting quarterback. But like you said, that is kind of scary to think like, okay, maybe he's got a couple starts under his belt, but can he keep up that kind of production for a full season, let alone for a franchise quarterback, you're wanting multiple seasons.
Andrew,
right?
Such a risk because somebody's going to give him 3 years, $20 million a year, 4 years, $20 million a year. And like I guess in relatively speaking, at the quarterback position, that's not much, but you're going to commit to him over a long period of time. And the question you then ask yourself is, all right, Kyler Murray just got released and he doesn't need to get paid. Okay. So he could sign a veteran minimum because he's going to get a bunch of money because he was cut from Arizona. So he could sign a 1 year, $3 million contract. And does Miami go after that? Does Cleveland go more so after that? Does he go to a team that needs rebuilding, or does he try to revive his career with a good club that just is a quarterback away, like, hey, close your ears, like Minnesota or or, whomever? Like, where does he kind of slot into all this? Because not only I don't think he's got a lot of talent, but he's going to be so damn cheap that it's like, I mean, shit, why not? He was the number one pick a couple years ago. Like, that's also going to be part of this equation. So it's really, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, and Malik is a big risk. Like, that is a big risk for a franchise to take.
Interestingly, I was just reading an article by Dan Graziano of ESPN, and he predicts that the Vikings are going to be the team that make the pony up for Willis. A couple other teams.
Pony up for Willis or pony up for
Malik Willis?
Whoa. Okay, so that's I've not heard that one, but that would be fascinating because then immediately you pay that type of money, he's your starter. Like,
he's your starter.
you're not coming in. He's not coming in to compete with JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Like, that puts McCarthy back.
Basically, yeah, his prediction was they're going to dump McCarthy and go on to Willis, and that would keep Willis in the NFC North, which is just
dude,
incredible.
First of all, I need a haircut. Secondly, Vikings fans got to be beside themselves if that's what they land with instead of Sam Darnold, who just won the Super Bowl, and you're like, damn. You're like, dude.
Other teams that are being mentioned for Malik Willis include the New York Jets, who it seems like they're always being mentioned for the next quarterback. You mentioned the Browns are kind of out of that. And then you've got the Arizona Cardinals, which I think are really interesting. You just mentioned Murray.
If I'm him, man, I'm like, quarterback Siberia is Cleveland and Arizona. So, like, I'm crossing those off my list.
But could you maybe say as Malik Willis, well, maybe Mike LaFleur is a little bit like Matt LaFleur, and he can
True.
They could share some wisdom amongst each other, and we can take it from there.
He would certainly have his old head coach's phone number, that's for sure. Yep. And yeah, that's a good perspective. That's a really good thought. I didn't even think of.
Yep. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how that shakes out. I want to play a real quick game before we end. Yes. I know that's the highlight, and we're gonna stick on Malik Willis as we play this game. So basically, we've done this before. I'm gonna mention a quarterback, and then I want to know if you would prefer that quarterback or if you would prefer Malik Willis.
Okay. All right. Don't quit.
And I'd like to hear why you think the way that you think for some of these. Okay. So we're just going to go kind of division by division here. Would you take Malik Willis over Drake May?
You started with the banger. Okay. So this is a good one. I don't know. I got to stop saying I don't know, and that's kind of my. Do
you believe in Drake May as a franchise quarterback?
No.
Okay. Well,
I don't.
But then, can you say that you believe in Malik Willis as a franchise quarterback? That's tough, right?
That's kind of where I'm at because I just waxed poetic for just a little bit, and I've been thinking that. But I watched Drake May play, and I think he showed you that. You say what you want. I mean, he got carried by a weak schedule, and it's like the best tournament luck you'll ever see. I think they're very similar. Like, I think that those two are very similar type quarterbacks.
Okay. Let's do this one.
But in the spirit of the game, Malik Willis over Drake May.
Okay, interesting. That's a nice take. CJ Stroud.
God, why didn't you pick the easy one? That's a tough one too. CJ, similar. I watched the I was at the Patriots Texans divisional game, and I watched that one in person. That was some of the worst quarterbacking I've ever played. And I've had games where I've thrown 4 interceptions and I've played bad. That was significantly worse than anything I've ever done. That was just really bad. And that's the taste that's kind of left in your mouth. CJ started his career up here, and it's been like a steady decline since. Mm-hmm. I'm taking Malik over CJ.
How about Lamar Jackson?
Lamar. I'm not here for Lamar hate. I'm not here for any Lamar slander.
I mean, he's incredibly talented. I just, can he get over the hump? That's my big question with Lamar.
But, yeah, I'm taking Lamar.
Okay. Let me give you a couple more here, and then we'll log out. Jaden Daniels.
Why could you say like Tua or somebody? Oh man!
I threw you a softball with Lamar.
Can I? Yeah, you did. Fair. All right. I would want one more year of Jaden because it was year 1 great, year 2 injured. I'm sticking with year 1 great, and I'm going to stay with Jaden Daniels because I'm thinking he's going to return to form. And he was in the NFC Championship game. Like, we forget that. They did get both great, but, I'm sticking with Jaden.
All right, I can keep going on some of these tough ones.
Keep going.
I'm gonna try to
this is fun, and this is I can't sit on the fence on these. So let's go.
You can't. How about Dak?
Dak, I like that. I think Dak gets a lot of hate. Okay. If he had a good defense, we'd be talking about Dak.
He's kind of in the Lamar Jackson category.
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Okay. Jared Goff.
Are we about to witness a Jared Goff decline?
I
What do
think
you
it's
think?
possible. I
I
think
think
it's
it's
possible.
close. I think it's closer than it is far away. Man, so what yeah, I mean, imagine putting Malik Willis on that Lions team.
I know
And you got Amon-Ra, you got Jameson Williams.
He could. I believe he could be a Super Bowl quarterback with that team.
All right, that's actually it. That's
Yeah.
actually it. I'm going Malik Willis over Jared Goff.
Interesting. All right.
After 35 pass attempts, whatever the hell he had left.
Yeah, after 35 passes. Exactly.
How dumb am I? All right.
Here's your last one. Brock Purdy.
Oh man. Oh shoot. Is it in a vacuum or is it in San Francisco?
Oh, that's a great question. I just think in general, you get one quarterback, Brock Purdy or Malik Willis.
Okay. Malik Willis. I think Brock is, and this is fine. I think Brock is a result of his coach being amazing.
Sure.
Amazing. And that system being perfect for him.
Yeah.
We've seen it when those guys get hurt. It looks a little bit different. He's gotten better throughout maybe the last year or 2 years. But I think that he is a product of Kyle Shanahan.
How incredible is Malik Willis's turnaround that you just picked him over multiple starting quarterbacks in this league?
Yep.
And this is a guy who the Titans basically threw away in the trash.
Amazing, man. And it's one of those, like, it's in the same ilk as the Sam Darnold conversation, who had just revived his career. And honestly, man, like it actually is from just a bigger picture quarterback conversation. Like the Sam Darnold and the Malik Willis stuff is really cool for these quarterbacks who, when they get drafted, especially high, and everyone expects them to win right away. And you realize that this is the hardest league in the world, and this is the hardest job in the world. And like sometimes there's a learning curve, and so for the most part, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. But you've seen now that they can turn it around, and if you give them time, they will be better. And I think all that's really cool. So for me, that fires me up. Absolutely, positively fires me up.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Well, it's nice to end the episode with a little bit of energy because I was dragging, but I'm ready for some football, man. So
you're back to 100%. You know what we have coming up? Which, if you're ready for some football, we got UFL around the corner. So
okay,
we're into that type of thing. Hang on, we're gonna have football here.
I am. You know why? Because St. Louis is a big UFL city. St. Louis
Battlehawks. Yeah. Did they play in? Don't give me 5 seconds. What was the Raymond James? No, Raymond James is down south.
No, Raymond. It used to be called, I think, the Edward Jones Dome or something like that.
Edward Jones Dome. Yep. What's it called now?
It's called like the Dome, America's Dome. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
The other day we went there for an RV show, so that's what it's used for.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, St. Louis is a big football town with those Battlehawks, man. So I'm excited. Maybe we can do a UFL episode.
We might as well, dude. We got a long off season ahead of us.
All right, Anthony. Good talk, man. Thanks everybody for watching, listening. We appreciate you so much, and we will be back and better than ever sooner than later. Talk to you later.